Say a few words about Bernard Manekin, who I so lament is not with us right now. Bernie, as much as anyone, taught me that when it comes to Jewish-Christian relations, it all begins and has to be anchored in friendship. That you can talk, and you can talk eloquently, you can talk at great length, you can do fancy footwork and lots of exegetical maneuvering, but it has to also be a matter of the heart. And Bernie has this wonderful ability to take an interest in the people that he encounters, no matter who they are, if they're opening the door or driving the car, or no matter where you meet Bernie, Bernie wants to know who you are and he wants to know your story. I think it all boils down to that aptitude for friendship that Bernie has embodied in his life, and the many friends that he has that span this city and beyond in a very unique way. The other thing that really strikes me that Bernie told me on a number of occasions is the fact that he never thought he would see a world in which the work of the ICJS would be firmly rooted. The idea that there would be Christians and Jews learning from each other, and that it would be of mutual benefit to both communities, that individual Christians and Jews might somehow come away from that encounter the better, was for him a dream that was beyond his wildest imaginings. And to have that happen and to be such an integral part of that, I know was a very powerful experience and sense of achievement that he derived from that, was I think a source of great joy to him. And finally, I'd like to note that Bernie was a painter. And he was a painter who had no hesitation whatsoever about imitating and in some cases improving upon the masters. Whether they be Van Gogh or Matisse, didn't matter. He was going to learn from them and in his own way give his particular idiosyncratic read of those great pieces of art. And his commitment, of course, was to bring beauty into our midst. And in so many ways, Bernie's life was spent bringing beauty into the midst of those who had the good fortune of knowing and loving him. Charlie?
Well, one of the only sad note today is that, of course, Bernie is not with us. He's still in Hopkins and hopefully might come home tomorrow. He has not been doing well. It's so nice that Richard, his son, could be here with us. Bernie was, as much as anybody I know, was a pioneer, at least in this community, in this field, in many ways. He started I think about 11, maybe 12 years. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to look up the date. In this work before the ICJS was formed. They did that at that time as the sole Jewish trustee at the own school. And Bernie saw the problem, and because he had such sensitivity to the issues that were involved. A human relations program started filming, which had no equal at all in any way, shape, or form in any school in America. In its initial phase, it dealt pretty much solely with Christian and Jewish issues. It still runs today. And of course, it has broadened out to issues of gender and other faiths. I don't know if he may have started before that. That was my first exposure not many people around that were doing that kind of work at that time. And then Bernie, when we were, a group of people were interested in getting the National Workshop on Christian-Jewish Relations to be held in Baltimore, Bernie was instrumental in that. Many of you don't know what it was, but it was one held in Baltimore was the largest one ever held anywhere. It brought people from 42 states and 7 foreign countries. 2 books came out of it, and it was the engine that led to the formation of the ICJS, because the people who worked on forming it, including Bernie, were the ones who decided that a conference was not enough. There was a lot of work to be done, and there was no organization that existed anywhere to do it. And that's how the ICJS really was formed. When it was formed, Bernie was once again the pioneer. He was central in selecting, helping to select the board, and raising the initial funds, and providing, once again, in this community, that sense of trust. Because above all else, Bernie was trusted. He served, of course, for 15 years as the co-chair of the ICJS, and there was not a single thing that this man did not do during his 22 years that he has been associated with the Institute. You all may remember about a year ago when he literally got out of bed and came to Goucher and made a plea to all of us to try to think about including the ICJS in our wills. And that just typified the kind of commitment that Bernie's had to this work. And I think it came, Bernie was involved in an enormous number of things in this community that were in the business community as well as the But I think it's fair to say, and this is just an opinion, and maybe Richard would agree or disagree, that among all the accomplishments he had, I don't think there was anything that he held in higher esteem than the work that the ICJS does. And I think he was awfully proud of the part that he played in it. When I think of Bernie, and I think of the role that he played, I really think of the words of that great Hebrew prophet Isaiah, who said that even youth grow faint and weary, but those who wait for the Lord, those who wait for the Lord will never grow tired. They will mount up with wings like angels, and they shall run and never grow weary. This man has run for now 96 years. He ran for us for 22 years, and I hope and pray that he runs for several more at least. So Richard, you're welcome.
Graciously accept this wonderful book and thoughts of the ICJS. There are 4 organizations that are very important to Dad, and it's not surprising that one of them is art-oriented. It's the Walters. 2 of them are religiously oriented, actually partially religiously oriented, culturally oriented. It's the Associated Episcopal Institute for Christian Jewish Studies. And I think that what Charlie said is true, that it's the ICJS that really is the most important to have if you break it down. He was one of the founders. Interfaith dialogue has always been important to him through the years. He would cherish this award, and